Have you ever asked why you were fed all the things we are told to believe? Lately, or especially over the past several months, I've really been questioning a lot of things, such as these big, huge buildings. We talked about this in a previous video about how there are engineers that believe these are electricity gathering devices and also used as functioning buildings. But what is weird to me is this kind of structure, that sort of detail is all over the world, a bunch in Europe. We did not have the population. The world's population was not large enough to support that kind of structure. It just wasn't. And so what is crazy to me, many of these huge cathedrals are built in the name of Jesus. Like if you are, it doesn't make sense. For one, Jesus would have never preached in a place like that. He would have been outside in nature, like it says all throughout the New Testament and all the books that are not even put into the Bible. So it doesn't, something is amiss. And why would we spend all of those resources when everybody was living in thatched huts and little bitty structures? We're living out in the woods, in the frontier. How do you convince people to build something like that when everybody else is struggling for survival? It's a difficult proposition to swallow. And this one is so crazy. Y'all just imagine. Just imagine. We spent 1,000 years in the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages. If you ask AI, it'll tell you that we have several thousands of documents describing the Middle Ages. A lot of those books and transcripts were of Greek history, things not dealing with that time period. And AI will also say, well, there's a couple of thousand of those that have like law documents or something. I just want to ask, how difficult is it to create 1,000, 2,000 documents? I don't know. And I'm not suggesting that they are. I haven't looked at them personally, and I don't have the science background to study the parchment to know. But I do have the common sense that God has given me to know something's not right. Because how do you go from no mechanical instruments supposedly for 1,000 years to jump into one of the most advanced clocks in the world, and they're everywhere, they're all over the place? How do you do that? How do we just go from being in the woods, doing nothing but surviving, to all of a sudden we have the technology and the craftsmanship and the perfect tooling to be able to build precise instruments that can tell us with Swiss modern precision the times and the astrological clocks? It doesn't make any sense. I can't wrap my mind around it. And if any of y'all have any comments and want to delve further into it, I'd appreciate it if you do. Because this one baffles my mind. There are a lot of these. They perfectly illustrate in movement what are the patterns of the universe. What is our solar system? What are the zodiac signs? How? These are supposed to be not advanced people. Just all of a sudden in the Renaissance, in the late 1400s, just bam, we just got smart all of a sudden? Like, oh, bam. AI, I was talking with AI about this, and because I was having this big discussion and debate that obviously in my mind AI lost. That there were guilds, or there were like these special clubs, and this information was passed down from father to son for all these generations. Now, why didn't they build a clock for 1,000 years? And how do you pass that down? If you're not building it or using it, how do you pass it down? I can tell Desmond, hey, Desmond, this is how you write with the fountain pen really well, and we can practice. And then maybe you can show your son a little bit, and then you say, well, let's figure out how to make it. And then your son's probably not going to care, and then his son's not going to care, and nobody's going to care. Like, how do you get people interested in doing these things if you're not even making them? Like it doesn't, something is off. And we watched out here 1984 last week. And Orwell said something at the very beginning of that movie and in his book, his famous book, 1984, who controls the past controls the future. And who controls the present controls the past. And that is a fact. And we've all heard this, I would assume, that history is written by the victors. You hardly ever hear all the true aspects of the people that lost. You only hear the bad stuff. They're always the bad guy. It's kind of like when a friend gets divorced, he's still your friend, so all you hear is the bad stuff about the spouse. You never get to hear the spouse saying all the bad stuff he did. Right? Something is missing. And just like in 1984, they have all these people in these cubicles just rewriting the past. Which made me think, as I start looking at all these things, has our past been rewritten? I don't know if y'all have ever seen this. I don't know how in the heck to pronounce that word, but it's an island, and this thing is named after that island. It's the oldest known analog computer. It was found pretty recently, but it's 2,000 years old. And it perfectly would depict the astronomical positions. How do you do that? How do you build? Do we have gears? Do we have the ability to make stuff like that back then? When we're told they don't. We have pictures in history of blacksmiths beating iron, just figuring out how to do stuff. I think this is important to us thinking about this, because if we don't know our past, how can we know who we are now? So if we don't start contemplating what has happened, why have we been told certain things about who and what we are, and these limiting belief systems, it skews us now. It puts us off balance. And why? Who would benefit from putting us off balance? I don't know. I mean, this is what we're told. People live like this, but they go and build these monstrosities and build these unbelievable microscopic precision clocks? I don't think so. I mean, that's what we're told. These kind of guys are building this. Precise gears. I don't know if y'all have ever seen gears in a watch, but just imagine them on a bigger scale. Big, round. They're perfect. They have to be micro perfect. You think that guy's going to get a micro-perfect thing? I don't think so. I just don't think so. Something is off. Something is just off. We're told that those kind of guys that we just saw are building these huge things, these huge structures. How? Where did the knowledge come from? How do they pour defective metals like that? How do you do it? How? No explanation makes any rational sense. And I tell you, I really want to know who I am and where I came from as a human, just as a human. I like to know who my mom and dad were. Like, that's a good start. I know my mom and dad. I know my grandparents. I think Jacob knows who his parents are. I think y'all do too, maybe. Maybe you don't know who your dad is. I mean, some of us don't. The point is, how far back can we actually go in that lineage to know what has happened to us? What is true? Because what we've been told about who and what we are makes zero sense. And the calendars are a big part of that. These calendars were changed. Our calendars were changed. Changed twice. Really 3 times. But why would we have a government, an authoritarian figure say, instead of going through the lunar cycles, which happen 13 times a month, 13 times in a year, why would we alter that? And why would I say noon when the sun is right over me and the sun is not over you and Tyler, it's just a little off. It's 11:30 for you, but it's noon for me. Why would I still call your time noon? Why are we throwing everybody's cycles just off? Why are we skewing everybody just a little? Why are we getting ourselves off of these biological rhythms? Because we are doing it without us even knowing it or ever thinking about it. And we're already off already. Like we're already kind of screwed up already. We already feel the tensions of everything. And we're purposefully being skewed. And what is that? And why? Why is that? To tell us that these guys in the 12th century and 1300s were not very talented, I think is kind of silly. But I mean, this is the first solar calendar. It's pretty impressive. But they lived in a different way. Like my solar calendar, if I had Jacob has a big solar calendar like that at his house, and I got mine here, we're on a different time. I'm feeling the sun in a different way than he is. Why do we all say we're on the same time? I don't understand. I don't know why we did that. Maybe Caleb or Desmond know because they're real smart. They're going to figure it out for me and tell me in the comments next week. I don't know. But something is happening. Something has happened and we've been misled somehow. And we're going to go into a lot of that next Sunday because I have a pretty good conclusion. And I think my buddy Steve over there knows what it is. And I'm going to be discussing it. I think it's going to baffle your brain. We just keep denying these cycles. And we keep denying ourselves from nature. You know, we build all these churches and these monuments and we say, oh, that's where Jesus or even that's where Muhammad would be, or that's where Buddhist temples. None of those guys would ever have done that in the first place. They would never even be in those. If any of y'all out there, many of y'all consider Jesus a prophet, Muhammad, Buddha, I mean, there's so many. They're outside connecting to nature. They're not in those big churches. They're in the natural cycles. They're grounding. Most of them are walking around barefoot. Why are we being told something different? Put on your nicest, prettiest clothes for Sunday. Have reverence. For what? If Jesus were to walk in here, he'd be a dirty carpenter, right? I don't know. Something's just off. Something's just off. And I want y'all to really consider it too. I want y'all to keep this thing going in your minds. Why would anybody want our natural time cycles to be off? Why? Do you know how easy it would be for everybody to say, my noon here is 11:30 over there? Like, it's not difficult because right now the time zones are already so manipulated. They're an hour off right next door. You can see where the lines are all through the United States. It's an hour ahead right here, and it's an hour behind over there. They really screwed it up in India, which I believe is the most spiritual place on the planet. I mean, there are hours difference from just India to Nepal, just right across this imaginary line. Why are you throwing the most spiritual place in the world off kilter, off their natural human cycle? Like, it's weird. It's really weird, and I don't get it. And this is what baffles me. Like, we're told there's about 400 million people in the world at the time all of these massive clocks and big, huge cathedrals are built. The narrative that we've been told is about 1% of those people were really good stonemakers. 1% of 400 million to build all of those things in that short of time period and of that kind of precision, it's impossible. It's literally impossible. It's literally impossible. So what the hell happened? Like, what happened? I know Jacob is going to be going down this rabbit hole. Like, what happened? I want to know. I want to know why we continuously are lied to. And this is not how they built the pyramids, by the way. It's not. It's not. Where did all these skilled laborers go? And why do we have all these same structures worldwide for thousands of years? And then all of a sudden, supposedly we had this monstrosity of construction going on with a population that couldn't support it, with everybody we're told is living in the wilderness, and who is going to leave their home and survival to go build a cathedral? And how are they all going to eat? Like, what? It's just strange. And I think this just goes back to time. Like, why are we lied to about populations, skill sets, and the use of these structures? Like, why are we lied to? Why? I remember asking that question going to all the different denominations of churches I went to growing up. You ask why, you're just told to shut up. You don't ask me why, you just have faith, you dumbass. I mean, that's basically what the preachers and pastors and everybody would say. Or my loving, kind, beautiful mom, son, you just have to have faith. But faith in what? I have questions. Nobody's answering them. What are they? Did we have some type of reset that we don't know? Was there some type of catastrophic event that happened? Did we happen to stumble upon things that were already there? I don't know. I just don't know. But we are told that this is off the island of Japan, that diver down there. And for some reason, these scientists and these people are saying that it's totally normal to have those right angles and 90-degree boulders under the surface. That it was not a building, that was never a structure. That's not normal. Just saying. That's not normal. But it's all over the world. We're told that all of these massive cities that were built from Chicago, San Francisco, and Colombia, all over the world, these massive, very old-looking concrete structures were just temporary so they could hurry up and tear them down. What the hell happened? Like, something weird has happened, and why is nobody asking all these questions? And why do archaeologists, when we find Göbekli Tepe, Karnack Tepe, and all of these other structures that prove from 12,000 years till now, what we've been taught as kids is a lie? Like, that is physically, and it's proven that that's a lie. Why do they still teach this crap in school then? I don't know. I don't know. I would like to know. But I think if I knew, I'd probably be the accidentally disappeared. But I think for some reason our memory has been wiped clean, and we don't. It's just no different from our politicians today. Like, okay, I start to think about this. I'm really curious what has happened in our past. I want to know. And then what happens? I don't know. We go blow up another country, and then I get distracted, and we got to do this. It's kind of the same thing. Oh, well, there's this list that, was a huge deal, and then now it's not a deal, and then now it's a fraud, and then all this, and then, but I don't want to think about that. Or how can I when all of a sudden now we're going to war with somebody else? Or now all of a sudden inflation is crazy. Or all of a sudden silver is a meme coin. It's crazy. Are we getting distracted and have been distracted so much we aren't even allowed to know who and what we are? Something is off. I've mentioned this for months now. We all know something's a little off. There's a little bit of stress with everybody. And I don't mean a little bit, I mean a lot. There's a lot of stress with people. Is that because that we're off of our time cycle some? Is it because we're feeding ourselves poison and fluoride in the water? Is it because we don't even practice the art of communication in our schools? Is it because we, schools are the most wonderful thing, but how are they financed? You can't own anything in this country. You have to rent it from the government to pay for these well-intentioned teachers that are a disaster, that to me are absolutely criminal. It's criminal. All in the guise of, I have good intentions. I'm going to make it where nobody can own anything so I can live and be nice, and I'm going to help your kids as best I can. It's criminal, and we allow it all to happen. It's kind of irritates me. And Graham Hancock is right. We are a species with amnesia. If y'all have not watched his Netflix special, 2 series, y'all should definitely watch it. He's a fascinating guy. He wrote The Fingerprints of the Gods, and just a fantastic archaeologist and journalist. We can do and be more, and we are. We are a small group doing big things. And we don't want to be that much bigger either, because it's really difficult to maintain close-knit groups just as they are. So the bigger you get, the harder it is. And if we're going to survive and really be the best and achieve the highest level of who we are, we have to have each other. We have to not listen to the propaganda being told to us, because there's a lot of BS. I'm not different than you. You're not different than me. I think a little different. You think a little different. I have more experience than you in some other area, and you have more than me and some others. We are here to help each other. We are not here to be lied to, distracted to, being accomplices in crimes and wars that those people aren't my enemy. But you're forcing me to support it through the money that I give to the government. You are forcing me to be an accomplice in crime, and I don't agree. I revolt. Y'all come out in person. We'll see you next time.